There's this teacher, Ellen Greenberg, who was found in her apartment with more than 20 different stab wounds on her body. What I can't really wrap my head around is that police are saying she did this to herself. Now, at the time, Ellen Greenberg was a teacher who was working and living out of the Philadelphia area. Everything I kind of pieced together about this is that everyone who knew her said she was bright, she was bubbly. None of this really aligned, didn't make sense, and it all changed on an early dismissal day. So the school wrapped up early, and Ellen was going to be heading home to her apartment in Philadelphia where she lived at the time with her fiance Sam. Now, according to Sam's story, he left the apartment at 4:45 and went downstairs to the gym in the apartment, but there's no real security footage of this. I almost felt like I couldn't find security footage of the guy anywhere in the building, but he came back upstairs. Then just a half hour of him being downstairs, he came back upstairs to find his apartment door locked with the hatch lock, and again, nobody ever saw whether or not this was actually locked. They just saw it like this, broken. He walked into his kitchen. He claimed to find something horrific. Ellen was on the floor. I can't even show you the extent of these injuries, but basically, he claimed that he found her with 20 to 25 different nicks and stab wounds on her body. Upwards of 8 to 10 of these were at the base of the skull and the back of the neck, and some of which they think did damage to her spinal cord, which never really made sense because a lot of private experts who looked at her autopsy said she wouldn't have had use of her arms. Yet the fatal wound is the one that was to her heart with a 10-inch serrated steak knife, and police said she did this to herself. And I know it's a lot to get into, so we did cover it on the podcast. If you want to listen to the full episode on this, you can check it out on Creep Time, the podcast. I mean, there is a crazy amount of suspicion on the fiance Sam, and he's never really caught on any cameras like this, like you see, but there are a lot of people who think that his family might have had something to do with the cover-up. Meanwhile, Ellen's family still holds out hope that their daughter's case is going to see justice.
This is why 3 a.m. is so scary. I know everybody knows that 3 a.m. is a scary time. You always see it in scary movies, but have you ever wondered why? It's because 3 a.m. is known as the devil's hour. It is said that during this hour, the veil between our world and the paranormal world is at its thinnest, meaning that ghosts and demons have a much easier time coming to our world at that time. So if you're ever awake at 3 a.m., and you hear a noise in your house, you better get to your room and lock the door.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. When whales reach a certain age, they will eventually be too weak to swim back to the surface for air, so they will just suffocate to death and eventually sink to the bottom of the ocean. When you die, you will be aware that you were dead until the moment your brain fully ceases function. When getting laser eye surgery, you can smell the parts of your eyes being shaved down. During the French Revolution, where the guillotine was introduced, the people to be executed fought to be first, as the blade would dull after multiple uses, and wouldn't cut a head clean off at the first attempt. If you're male, after you die, your loved ones can have a doctor electrocute your prostate to force you to ejaculate for sperm. Humans have enough bite power to bite off their own finger, bone and all. The only thing stopping us is our brain's natural safety factor. A deceased human body can take between 24 to 48 hours to decompress, releasing the remaining blood, urine, and fecal matter, depending on the situation, position, and method of death. If you die on a submarine, they put your body in the fridge with all the food. If not, up a torpedo tube. It's actually common that corpses will periodically burp, fart, gasp, groan as gases escape through the mouth and anus. When you get burned by electricity, it actually leaves marks shaped like lightning on your skin. Hit the plus sign if you want to learn more facts.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. If given access to it, butterflies will happily drink blood. Astronauts must drink 730 liters of recycled sweat and urine to live in space for a year. The hospital bed you were once in had many dead people laying on it. Speaking of death, 153,000 people die every day. You're not scared of being alone. You're scared of not being alone when you're supposed to be. After 10 minutes of watching yourself in a mirror, your brain gets bored and distorts your reflection, causing imaginary monsters such as Bloody Mary. Eventually, there will be more dead people on Facebook than alive. More than 7,000 people die every year due to the doctor's bad handwriting. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 5.
Scary facts you wish you never knew. On September 26th of 2021, a huge asteroid actually almost hit Earth, and NASA didn't detect it until a day later. So yeah, we were almost done for. Believe it or not, but humans do have a natural predator, and it kills around 2 to 3 million people a year. And we still have no clue how to stop it yet. This creature is the mosquito. Did you know TikTok has a secret emoji? Type shout with the bars around it on your keyboard and see what you unlock. Dr. Carl Tanzler was in love with one of his patients. Her name was Elena, but sadly she passed away. Carl then snuck into her tomb, stole her body, brought her back to his house, and kept her in there for 7 years. For that whole time, her body was slowly rotting away. He would prop her up on the bed like a mannequin. And the only reason he was caught was because somebody saw him dancing with her in front of his open window. You can check if your phone is being monitored right now. Just click on share, slide to the very end, click more, and if any unknown apps appear before your contacts, you should delete them immediately. 3 a.m. is known as the devil's hour. It is said that during that hour, the veil between our world and the paranormal world is thin. No wonder you always wake up at 3 a.m. Studies show that people who like and follow me get smarter every day, so you know what to do.
This is the scary truth behind celebrities. If you ever seen a celebrity do this hand symbol and then place it over their eyes in photos, it's actually not a fun symbol. It actually symbolizes the number 666. And these aren't the only symbols that celebrities express to the public. And it's leading many people to believe that they are doing symbols like this to symbolize their alliance to the Illuminati. This is extremely crazy. But let's be honest, these symbols that they are doing don't look normal at all. And it really makes you think why they are doing them.
Creepy facts you didn't know about Florida. Florida ranks third among states with the highest amount of serial killer murders. Florida is one of the leading states with the most reported UFO sightings. There's a highway named the Dead Zone because of all the deaths and traffic accidents that happened there.
Alright, let's talk about it. This video went super viral with thousands and thousands of people asking, what exactly is this? Being the strange, morbidly curious person I am, I decided to look into it. You can find that device as well as countless other interesting items at the Lara Museum in Ronda, Spain. The museum is the private collection of Juan Antonio Jury. I took the 3D tour of the historical building and it is filled with dozens and dozens of antique watches, clocks, cameras, bullfighting paraphernalia, and much more. The cellar, which is by far the most interesting in my opinion, is known as the Living Inquisition. Down in the cellar showcases things from the Spanish Inquisition as well as witchcraft. They also have a slew of other torture devices, the rack, the iron chair, and the Judas cradle to name a few. That is also where you will find what is called the Consolation Machine. A deep dive into who created this machine, what was it for, and when was it built turns up nothing. I managed to find a few pictures of the paper that is located on the machine in the video, and it reads as follows. The sex for Christianity is the most shameful act a human being can show. For this reason, it was thought to regulate it in a serious way. It was fixed some days of prohibition and other days were authorized by only a procreation purpose. People who didn't obey these rules went to the hell. For witches were impossible to obey these rules the church imposed. My takeaway from that is that it was used against women or witches to punish them for indulging in such lewd acts. Still, so many questions. Let me know what you think down in the comments.
Scary fun facts until the Orbeez overflow. There are microscopic mites that live in your eyelashes. Being buried alive happens so often on accident that they've now invented safety coffins. In the 1800s, dentures were made with real teeth from the deceased. Radio station UVB76 has been broadcasting since 1982. All it does is make creepy noises and nobody knows where it's broadcasting from. Chainsaws were originally invented for childbirth. The final part of Mount Everest that you have to climb is known as Rainbow Valley. They call it that because all you see is all the different colored jackets from the frozen hikers. And it looks like I'm out of time. Follow for more fun facts.
This disgusting pedophile was captured after using PayPal to purchase CP and CSAM. This is 24-year-old Nicholas Brenshaw from Utah. So investigators started looking into Nicholas in the year 2013. And from December of 2013 to July of 2016, authorities found that Nicholas paid over $2,700 to illegal websites to purchase CP. And while authorities were investigating Nicholas and discovering his disturbing secrets, they found that he was chatting with 19-year-old Elijah Roberts, also from Utah. So Elijah and Nicholas would use apps like Kik and Wicker, I've never heard of Wicker, to exchange CP materials. They would also chat about their deep, disturbing desires to be alone with children. These chats were allegedly extremely graphic and extremely disturbing. So when pedophile Elijah Roberts was arrested in 2016, the authorities found out that he had also allegedly assaulted a 14-year-old boy. He was also found to have been offering this young boy to other men online, meaning he wanted people to come over and assault this boy too. Thankfully though, both of these freaks were sent to prison, but sadly Elijah was sentenced to only 60 months in prison. This is only 5 years. I think both of them deserve longer sentences, but what can I say? This is America. We prefer to punish drug users as opposed to pedophiles.
This man was caught on camera murdering his wife and he only got 10 years in prison. Carrie Birmingham, who was 60 years old, shot his wife Patricia Birmingham, who was 48 years old. He shot her 3 times outside their home in Spring, Texas, and the couple had been arguing for about 30 minutes after Carrie allegedly discovered the affair his wife was having. This incident was captured on video by his wife Patricia, and in the disturbing video, Carrie can be seen walking in the driveway with a bathrobe on and a shotgun in his hand. Carrie can also be heard telling his wife, quote, "Okay, bye. You're going to meet Jesus. I hope it was worth it," end quote, before shooting her 3 times and killing her. Whatever you do, don't look up the video. It honestly is pretty disturbing, and I wouldn't recommend watching it. After doing this, Carrie was arrested and charged with murder, being held on a $200,000 bond, and recently in 2024, Carrie Birmingham pleaded guilty to the murder, but claimed he shot his wife in the heat of the moment. And despite the jury being all females, the woman sentenced Carrie to 10 years in prison, with parole eligibility in 5 years. Now I'm going to play a short clip from the video showing Carrie talking to Patricia before he shot her dead.
Video? I'll pull it. I'm mad enough to pull it. Okay. Alright, goodbye, Reese. Nice to know you. You go meet Jesus.
Joseph Fritzl, the Austrian man who imprisoned and abused his daughter for 24 years, fathering 7 children with her, has been granted release from prison to a nursing home. According to his lawyer, this decision comes after consideration of his advanced age and deteriorating mental health, specifically his dementia. He will now be moved to a nursing home, marking his first release from custody in only 15 years. Just a reminder, he held his own daughter captive in his home's basement for 24 years and made it appear as if she had run away. And the 24 years was only the time she spent locked in the basement. The SA had actually begun 7 years prior to that, when Elizabeth was only 11 years old. A psychiatrist who had previously described Fritzl as extremely psychologically abnormal and emotionally illiterate has now claimed in a 28-page report that he is no longer dangerous. The 88-year-old, who was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2009 for his heinous crimes, has been seeking early release for a while now due to his age and declining mental state. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Do you believe that Joseph Fritzl should have been granted release from prison?
I wanted to show you guys a couple more videos of Riley Strain from that night. Here he is running after he left the Luke Bryan bar. You see him fall down. He just lays there on the ground for a few seconds before he's finally able to stand back up. And then after he does get up, He just stumbles down the sidewalk. And then this one is shortly afterwards. Y'all, when he got kicked out of that bar, not a single one of his fraternity brothers left with him to make sure he made it back safely. There were like 50 guys there with him. Nobody left. Knowing he was in that condition, they just let him go. I can't understand that. And I don't know if you guys have seen any of the interviews with his parents, his mother. I have a daughter in college, and I just cannot imagine the way she feels right now. Like watching her baby stumble down the sidewalk like that, knowing that nobody tried to help him. People are just horrible.
Reading the private love letter sent to Chris Watts, the man in jail for unaliving his pregnant wife and 2 daughters. Hi, Chris. This is Candace again. So I called Weld County Jail to talk to someone, and he said that you would need to add me, but if you don't to, then that's fine. I'll just continue to write letters, LOL. Anyway, I hope that you're doing okay, and believe it or not, I think about you often. Well, actually a ton, LOL. My cousin shared a news story about you on Facebook, and honest to God, I got so upset about the stupid ass comments that assholes were saying about you. OMG, I was legit mad as hell. I absolutely do not believe what everyone is saying about you. In my eyes, they're all wrong. Like I said in my previous letters, that I really do care about you. Don't ask me why. Maybe I'm nuts. Crazy, LOL. Chris, I will stop writing you if you want me to. It's just that I want you to tell me that. I was so hoping that I would have heard from you by now, but nope. Next page is posted now.
If dinosaurs actually existed, wouldn't their bones be everywhere? Let's all put our critical thinking skills to the test this morning.
Hello, my friend. Believe it or not, dinosaur bones are actually everywhere. In fact, they're being found at such a high rate that around 50 species tend to be discovered every year. And then you said that the average person seems to have never found one, and you haven't found one, and no one you know has found one. Well, first of all, there are plenty of average people like you and I that have found dinosaur bones. For example, just this month here in Australia, a retired chicken farmer who purchased a stone slab to use accidentally found a 240 million year old fossil. This was the fossil of an extinct species of amphibian, but the point still stands. As for why you yourself haven't found any, well, that's probably because you have not made an active effort to find them. Because they are quite literally everywhere. You could go down to a river near your local area and potentially find something. It's that common. People I personally know often partake in fossil digs, where they go off in groups to go off to an area known for fossils, and they dig up a lot of stuff. If you're genuinely interested, you could probably find a group in your area that does something like that and partake to find something.
And another thing, bones can completely decay within 20 years. But these people are finding fossils that are intact, that still have teeth attached.
So yes, bones do actually decay quite quickly, but you need to remember that fossils themselves aren't exactly bones. When a creature passed away, if a layer of sediment covered the bones fast enough, it would create a mold over the bones. As the years go on, minerals surrounding this mold will slowly seep in, and eventually all of the bones will be replaced by sediment and minerals, creating like a stone replica of the skeleton of the animal that passed away. So that's what a fossil is. That's why we call them fossils and not simply bones. It is a little confusing, I guess, but I hope that makes sense.
She captured her killer's voice on tape, yet somehow her case is still unsolved.
Where are we by? We're just heading south of Beaumont, or north of Beaumont. We're heading north of Beaumont. Yo, where are we going? No, this is a... Are you fucking kidding me? You better not taking me anywhere I don't want to go. I want to go into the city. Jeez.
Amber went on vacation with her 14-month-old son and her female friend when she was 20 years old in August 2010. Amber wanted to go out and her friend wanted to stay in, so her friend agreed to watch her baby while Amber hitchhiked to an area with more stuff to do. It's evident at some point she got into a car with an unknown man, and she was never seen alive again. She called her brother who was in jail, meaning that this phone call was automatically recorded. Investigators believe that the driver told her he was driving north into Edmonton but was really going southeast. And this is an extremely rural area with roads that aren't even paved in some parts. The police greatly mishandled her case. They initially told her family that she was probably out partying, so they didn't need to look for her. In fact, it took 4 months for an investigation to actually start into Amber's case. She was also randomly removed from the missing persons list after an unconfirmed sighting, but then she was added back. Also, her friend gave Amber's suitcase of her stuff that was left in the hotel room to police, but for some reason this was destroyed. And oddly, just a couple of months after the recording of this unknown man was released, horseback riders came across Amber's body in a remote field. She was badly decomposed and had to be identified through dental records. This is an egregious failure on the part of the Canadian Police Department. Her family has been very vocal about the fact that they believe that Native American stereotypes imposed on Amber, such as alcoholism, are the reason why the Canadian police got such a late start into investigating her disappearance. Anyone with information on the Amber Tukaro case should call RCMP or Crime Stoppers.
This man was just found dead after telling us that Boeing is not making its planes properly. John Barnett was a former quality control manager at Boeing. He told BBC that under pressure and overworked employees were, on purpose, putting substandard parts on planes. He also found that 1 in 4 breathing masks did not work correctly during emergencies. That's 25% of the masks didn't work. Remember a couple months ago when this brand new Boeing airplane took off from Portland Airport and the door flew off mid-flight?
Quote, the incident was a manufacturing issue and not a design problem. Just this morning, the FAA also said it was going to increase oversight over Boeing and begin an immediate audit of its production and manufacturing.
And the FAA did do a 6-week audit of Boeing, and they found failure to comply with manufacturing quality control requirements. And just a few days ago, it came out that Boeing has a $1 billion lawsuit against them because of this incident. And John, in recent days, has been giving evidence in that whistleblower lawsuit against Boeing. 2 hours ago, BBC reports on John again, but this time, it's that he's found dead. Reports are coming out that it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound, aka suicide. Are you buying that? John said that he alerted managers to his concerns, but they didn't do anything about it. And the plane door coming off in Portland is not the only horrible thing that's been happening on Boeing aircrafts. There have been a lot of malfunctions recently. The worst one in recent years was in 2018 when 189 people died because of a malfunction. Black box data from the Lion Airjet revealed that pilots struggled to fight the plane's malfunctioning safety system from takeoff to the moment it nosedived into the sea. Now look, a lot of you have been asking me on my recent videos to put names, places, times, and stuff like that, and I used to go really thoroughly into my investigations, but this is my 3rd page now after all of the other ones have been deleted, and that's for a reason. I'm getting to the truth in a lot of these videos, and they don't like that, so you're gonna have to do more research yourself if you want to. I used to be a reporter in Washington, D.C., and it's kind of my passion to do investigative stuff. I left because of how corrupt the media is, and if you want to know more tea, just follow me here. Let me know what you think about this in the comments.